Alright, ladies and gentlemen, since a lot of you have been getting into Fallout and some people really don't know what's happened before the hoaxes, I figured I would go ahead and round up all the information we have on Fallout 4 and put it into one video. So I'd like to thank cinemablend.com for putting it all together in one article and making everyone's life a lot easier. Be sure to check it out if you want the written format of it. I'm just here to make a video form of it. So without further ado, let's get into it. So let's start off with Bethesda Game Studios and the things they've done to hint at a potential entry in the Fallout franchise. It's assumed that work has started as early as February 2012. They began hiring programmers during that month for a quote, unannounced game on future generation consoles, as well as the PC. However, obviously Skyrim was fairly new at that point, so producing DLC and such was the studio's focus. The studio officially finished work on Skyrim's DLC a year ago, but it was widely assumed that after Dragonborn, their biggest and best DLC for Skyrim, that they were done. They said that part of their team has also been in pre-production on their next major project, and that the game is at the point where it requires the studio's full attention to make our biggest and best work yet. So it is assumed that they either could have made a new piece of DLC for Skyrim, or they wanted to work on something truly special, and it seems that they have picked something truly special. Fallout 4 also seems like the obvious choice just because Skyrim's still only a few years old, as well as the Elder Scrolls Online being just released for the PC a few months ago, so it would be a good time for Bethesda to take a break from the Elder Scrolls franchise and work on something new. Now, we obviously have been saying this for a while, so that shouldn't be anything new to a lot of you. There's also the one thing that we should mention, which we've never discussed on this channel, which is a quote from Pete Hines himself telling TVG about the Fallout franchise when it was released in 2008. He said, "This is not something we're going to do once and then go away and never do it again. Ha ha ha." He said, "When that will be, or how long that will be, God only knows." It's been a while. But we acquired it specifically because we wanted to own it and develop it and work on it like we do with the Elder Scrolls. So it seems like a new entry is coming, but when, we have no idea. Now let's focus on our release date. This part I handled and actually didn't really use much of Cinema Blend's article. Starting off with Morrowind, that game was developed from '98 to 2002. Then looking at Oblivion, shortly after Morrowind development began in 2002 and it was released in May of 2006. During Oblivion's development cycle, Bethesda Game Studios acquired the rights to 3 Fallout games to develop and announced Fallout 3 in 2004 July. Anyways, much like with what very well may be the case with Fallout 4, BGS did pre-production on the side for Fallout 3 while finishing up Oblivion and creating DLC for it. I should also mention that during the development cycle of Fallout 3, they said the game was a ways off, but a few months later into the year, it was revealed. Similar to Skyrim, also similar to very well what may be Fallout 4. To put the icing on the cake here, Skyrim's development began in 2008, right after Fallout 3, and it was released in 2011. What is even crazier is that Skyrim is considered one of Bethesda Game Studios' best games, but they still managed to trick out awesome DLC for Fallout 3 in the meantime. Notice a trend here? 3 to 4 year development cycles for each of these games, and highly anticipated games are claimed to be a ways off, even though BGS's games may be ready as soon as tomorrow. With all this data gathered up, I feel it's safe to say that a late 2015 to early 2016 release date is incredibly possible. Now on to the potential setting for Fallout 4, which is widely presumed to be, and almost a guarantee, Boston. It all started in August of 2012 when a Reddit user suggested that Bethesda was in fact scouting locations throughout Boston for Fallout 4. They said that they may or may not work at MIT, but they did not want to risk losing their jobs, so they had to keep their lips sealed. Anyways, this also connects to a side quest in Fallout 3 called The Replicated Man, in which you are helping an android hide from his creator. Now, in the lore of Fallout, MIT is known as the Institute, in which an organization is specialized in the creation of androids. It's basically another faction, and if Bethesda really wanted to flesh out the lore of Fallout, moving all over to Commonwealth would actually be a very, very good choice. It's also safe to mention that the Boston rumor was further supported by a leaked casting document that happened right after the Survivor 2299 hoax, and it mentioned in missions involving the Commonwealth and the Institute in a lot of landmarks throughout Boston, so it almost seems like a guarantee as these documents were confirmed real by Kotaku themselves. Now let's shift over to some voice actors, starting off with Three Dog or Eric Todd Dellums. In an interview with Nukopedia, he said, quote, "I let Bethesda know that fans were clamoring, trying to figure out if there's any chance that Three Dog would be back at some time. and you know, they let it slip that it looks like Three Dog will, and they said, well, maybe you should tell your fans. Now, Bethesda clearly did not predict that the internet would absolutely explode when he released this tweet, so he released an apology afterwards, but now he mainly tweets a lot of music. He asks if people are ready to fight the good fight, etc. He's still tweeting out a lot of teases every now and then, but it's really hard to tell what he's really getting at. Now let's move on over to Ron Perlman. If you don't know who he is, he's the guy who has a monologue in the beginning of every Fallout game. When he was asked if he had any video games he was working on in an AMA on Reddit, he said, quote, "Don't have any video games on the horizon right now." Now, he could have already recorded his dialogue, so he may be dancing around the question a little bit, but that was quickly erased with a few tweets. The first one was when someone asked him, "Does war ever change?" on Twitter, and he said, "Apparently, because I ain't in Fallout 4. And then after that, Ron Perlman said, "Here's a correction for y'all. I don't know shit about Fallout 4. So this is mildly depressing as the tradition may end, but we never know until the game is finally released. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all we know about Fallout 4 to this date, June 30th. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this is a video that a lot of you come to explain to your friends the fiasco at Fallout 4 and just has everything in it to answer all of your questions about Fallout. So yeah, be sure to let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, be sure to follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Keep my discount codes in mind. Other than that, my Fallout lovers, stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.